Hello everybody! For all those nervous about the hospital stay, today I am going to start sharing my experience with you. My hospital experience actually started the day before with stopping my liquid diet at noon, then at night taking a Hibiclens shower with this stuff to kill everything on my body, then stopping all liquids period at midnight. That next morning I woke up and I took another shower with the Hibiclens stuff, got dressed, and was off on my way and got to the hospital around 7 o'clock. I took very little with me since the lap band, or gastric banding, or Realize band, is supposed to be a day procedure, meaning you go in that morning, you go out that night. At most, you go in that morning and you leave the next day. So I figured, hey, I don't need much. The only thing I took with me was my wife. Actually, she took me, but you'll need someone to drive you. So I got to the hospital and I went to admissions. And the waiting begins. Yep, there is a lot of waiting pre-surgery at all stages. So, take someone with you to keep yourself entertained. For me as my wife. Or bring a book or a magazine or something to do, because you'll do quite a lot of waiting and you want to keep your mind occupied and keep yourself as unnervous as you can about this procedure you're about to have. I eventually got called to the admissions department, got asked a bunch of questions, and then I was off to first day surgery at UW Health, which is where the typically outpatients in and out in the same day go to get their surgery done. Well, got there, and guess what? More waiting. More getting nervous, more nervous joking with my wife, things like that. But eventually I did get called, and they took me to a tiny room. There was literally a bed, some equipment like some IV equipment, and one chair for my wife. So there's not much room. If your hospital does the same thing as the pre-op room, they only allow one person. That's just my experience. Let's see. So I got there and they got me into my, well, I can dress myself. I'm old enough now to dress myself, everyone. Congratulations, it's new news. So I got myself into the hospital gown and tied it and had the open butt flap showing and, you know, all that good stuff. Got comfortable back in the hospital bed, and the nurse came in and the anesthesiologist came in and the nurse came in again and my surgeon came in and everyone was asking tons of questions and making sure I was ready. Do I have a cold? Have I done this? When was the last time I ate? Check my blood pressure, my pulse. Basically get me completely ready for surgery. Then I got my IV started. It took them 8 tries to start my IV. They did both arms, 4 spots on my hands, upper arm, and eventually got it on, I believe it was this arm, my left forearm, that got a good spot for an IV. So I'm like, wow, it took them like an hour to get an IV. They brought in multiple people, even the head of the anesthesia department, who was the one that finally got the IV in. It took them 2 tries. Yeah, 2 tries. But anyways, they got it in, and I'm thinking, okay, every surgery is going to have a bump. This was my bump, getting in the IV. All smooth sailing from here. Everything's all good. I can handle this. After that, I got probably 20 minutes later, they gave me a relaxation medication to help relax me for surgery, and then another 20 minutes after that, I got the call. The nurse came in and said, it's time for you to go to surgery. So off my wife went to the waiting room and they started wheeling me down. That was the longest ride of my life. Even though I'm sure it was very short, felt like it took forever, and I was
Hi, I'm
nervous
Samantha.
as all heck.
Actors are always looking for
I just realized I have my radio on, and so I'm going to turn that off, and hopefully you guys still heard me over it. Well, when I got to the OR, it was a very, very, very small table. Yeah. Hospital bed seems big compared to it. Big. So I managed to slide my big body over onto this little table, which I almost hung over a little bit on. Had my arms straight out like this, laying flat on my back, head back on this hard table, legs out. Not very comfortable at all. I laid there for a few minutes while people were around, getting things hooked up, moving around, things like that. I was trying to keep myself relaxed, so I was joking with the surgeons, with the anesthesiologist, got a few laughs in the OR. You know, I gotta put them at ease, because, you know, they are cutting into me. Oh, was I nervous. Felt like forever, but then finally, the time came. The anesthesiologist came over and made sure I was ready, and I told him I was. And they put the mask on me, and I started breathing it in. Nice and deeply, nice and slow, just like they said. Well, all of a sudden it kind of felt like I was floating, kind of floating away. And the voices that they were talking to me, and I was still trying to talk back, and I'm sure I didn't make any sense in what I was saying, just started getting more and more distant and distant and distant until I couldn't hear him at all. I was definitely about to go under. Well, next time I'll talk about what happened after I woke up. Yes, obviously I woke up. I'm still here.